Okay, so we need to talk about the changes that American Express has just made to their personal lineup of Hilton credit cards, including the annual fee changes, as well as the new benefits on the Surpass card, as well as the Aspire card. And we all knew that this change was coming to the lineup, and especially the Aspire card, but we just didn't know when. And that day happened to be today, which is October 19th, 2023. And just like a lot of you, I woke up this morning and I saw all these changes, and I had to really figure out, were these changes a positive move or a negative move, and what did I personally make of them in terms of my personal credit card strategy moving forward? And so I think it depends on the person, as everything does. But I want to first go over what these changes are objectively, so we are on the same page about what exactly the benefits are and what the annual fee is and if there's a value there. And then I'll go over into what my personal thoughts are on these particular changes. And to give you some more context, I just finished watching Uncle Luke's live stream about these changes from today. And he did a really, really good job explaining his point of view and what he thought about these changes overall. And I really respect Uncle Luke, and I hats off to him for a great live stream. And I really, really like his perspective because he travels a lot. And not only that, he's a great resource because he's a Hilton loyalist. And the difference between him and me is that I may not be a Hilton loyalist as much as him. Actually, if you know me at all, I'm more of a Marriott loyalist. So I don't have any Hilton cards. I don't have the Hilton Honors card, the Surpass card, or the Aspire card. So I really only look at these cards as cards that can get me value simply by having them. And so, as we all know, the Aspire card before the change was really, really good. And I think we could all recommend that card to anybody, no matter what kind of loyalist you were for whatever kind of hotel chain. But I think with these changes, it's a little bit different now. And so my personal thoughts on this card is mostly going to be on the negative side. And I'm going to go into that in more detail. But I think that the context of how I'm describing them is going to matter because I don't use these cards as a Hilton loyalist. Like I don't stay at Hilton's very often. I really just get them for the sign-up bonus and for the points. And so I think from that perspective, I'll be able to offer that sort of definition of what I think about these changes. And so with that all in mind, let's continue. And I first want to talk about the card designs. And with these designs, you can see that the Hilton Honors, Hilton Honors Surpass, and Hilton Honors Aspire cards all have this new redesign where the Honors card is white, the Surpass is blue, and the Aspire is navy blue. But the biggest thing that I think we all wanted is that the embossed numbers should go away because that was just awkward and not really pleasant to look at. And so I'm glad that those are now gone. And hopefully those numbers will be now printed on the back of the card instead. And so it'll look for a cleaner, more sleek look. There's also some word that the Aspire card is metal. And I think that's awesome because the Aspire card with its premium travel card status should be in a metal format. So I think that's also a great thing to see. But from my perspective, if I look at the cards on the old side versus the new side, I have to say it looks like the new cards look very corporate. They don't look very, the design isn't very good in my opinion. I really enjoyed the previous design because they just looked a lot better. They were more bright, they were more fun. This one looks very corporate and basically sad. Of course, the design doesn't really matter, but that's my personal opinion. I just think that they could have done more with the design itself, but that's kind of it for the design. I just wanted to point it out there. And so let's first go over the card benefits and what they can achieve because that's really what's the most important part of a credit card in the first place. And so I want to start with the Hilton Honors regular card, which is mainly a design change. It's pretty simple. It does have an elevated sub, and we will go into a lot of the sign-up bonuses in the later part of this video to just go over which is the best one or which one you really should pick. But this one has a elevated sub of 100,000 Hilton Honors points after spending $2,000 in the first 6 months. Of course, it has the same multipliers as it did in the past with 7x on Hilton, 5x points back at U.S. restaurants, including takeout delivery, 5x on U.S. dining, groceries, and gas, as well as 3x on everything else. It also has no annual fee and no foreign transaction fees, and as well as the benefits, gets you Hilton Honors Silver status. So it's basically just a new redesign, and the sub is better than it used to be, or is it? We'll talk about that later. The Surpass card is actually the first card with the major changes, and so I want to talk about that in a little more detail. The annual fee was increased this time from $95 to $150, and for that, you also have this elevated sign-up bonus offer of 170,000 Hilton Honors points after spending $3,000 in the first 6 months. And there's also very similar categories as before, but they did add one other category. So there's 12x on Hilton purchases, 6x on U.S. dining, groceries, and gas, and now they also have 4x on online retail purchases, which from my knowledge is not capped, so that's interesting, as well as 3x on everything else. And so that 4x is a new category, which is pretty cool. But again, online retail purchases could be a very general and broad category. I'll have to look into more details about that, but we have to see that more in action for sure. There's also Hilton Honors Gold status that comes with the card, which is a previous benefit, as well as a free night award at $15,000 in spend in a calendar year, as well as a Hilton Honors Diamond status if you spend $40,000 on this card in a calendar year, as well as no foreign transaction fees. Now, the biggest changes to this card is that it used to have a priority pass for 10 free visits, and now there's no longer that benefit, but they did add this Hilton credit, which is $200 that you can use at any Hilton property within their within their ecosystem that is not excluded, but it's divided in classic American Express fashion into four $50 quarterly credits, which is a little bit annoying, but I mean, I expected that for American Express, to be honest with you. It also gives you National Car Rental Emerald Club executive status, so that's really helpful. I sometimes it's hard to really look at these car rental statuses and understand what they really mean, but with executive status, you do get to choose any car that's full size or above and only pay the mid-size rate, and this is only in US and Canada. And another benefit of that perk is that you do get a guaranteed free upgrade when you reserve a full-size through luxury vehicle, again, also in the US and Canada. So it is a very nice perk that it comes with the card. So if you rent cars a lot, that could be something that would be beneficial to you. But now I want to go to the big kahuna, which is the Hilton Honors Aspire card, because this is the one that we all know and love this card as one of the best travel cards in the industry. And depending on who you are, this may still be the case, and for some of you, it may not be the case. So let's start up at what the card has, looks like in terms of the changes. So there's an annual fee increase from $450 to $550, which is only an increase of $100, so it's not too bad. There's an elevated sign-up bonus of 180,000 Hilton Honors points after spending $6,000 in purchases in the first 6 months. And of course has the same multipliers of 14x points back at Hilton, 7x points back on flights booked directly with airlines or AmexTravel.com, and car rentals booked with select car rental companies, as well as 7x at U.S. restaurants, including takeout and delivery, and 3x points back on all other purchases. A lot of the benefits have stayed the same, such as the complimentary diamond status, as well as the annual Hilton Free Night Award for the first year, every card member anniversary, and the $100 on-property credit for Conrad or Waldorf Astoria properties, as well as no foreign transaction fees. But the biggest changes for this card is that there's no Priority Pass membership anymore. There is now a $250 annual Hilton Resort credit that was removed and now replaced by a $400 Hilton Resort credit, which is divided into two semi-annual statement credits, as well as a $250 annual airline incidental credit that was removed, that was now replaced by a $200 flight credit, which is not an incidental credit, but also can be used for flight purchases, and that's divided into four $50 quarterly credits as well. So that's something that is new. Again, we have those two credits. We also get that clear credit at $189 a pop, as well as that National Car Rental Emerald Club executive status that I mentioned before, and also cell phone protection as well, which is about $800 per claim, limit of 2 claims per 12-month period with a $50 deductible. And so those are the objective changes. So now I want to get into what I really think about what's going on with all of them. Okay, so the first thing is, I think we can all agree that this is very classic American Express. They are raising the annual fees and then giving us statement credits to offset the annual fees themselves. Now, it looks like good on the outside, but if you dig into it, it's statement credits that are really annoying to use. And I think there's some level of opinion on that. It depends on who you're asking. In my personal opinion, it is actually kind of annoying to give you a statement credit that's monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually. I think the only acceptable statement credit is the annual statement credit, because that is a reasonable way to get value from a statement credit. If you start to go to the semi-annual, monthly, or quarterly types of statement credits, it just becomes more work than it's really worth. And actually, I think American Express is banking on the fact that we would get so annoyed with these statement credits that we wouldn't even bother to use them, and therefore they would actually be able to get that annual fee without having you get the value from that. And I know a lot of us out here as credit card enthusiasts are really good about using our statement credits to get the most amount of value when it comes to that, but a lot of people don't. And I think that's something that, again, American Express is banking on to make sure that they get as much money as they can from those annual fees, and to have you also spend a lot of money on your cards. Because with the annual statement credits, it could be like a one and done situation where you just use it all and be done. But because they're putting it into a semi-annual or quarterly format, now they can entice you to spend more money in a higher frequency on their cards under the disguise of a statement credit. And so that's fine with the Aspire card in particular. So if we look back at the Aspire card, we do have that airline fee credit as well as that Hilton statement credit that's quarterly and semi-annually respectively. And if that was your only card with American Express with those situations, that would be okay. And depending on how you travel, that'd also be okay. But what if you had the Aspire card and then you had the Platinum card? So now you have a bunch of annual credits, a bunch of semi-annual credits, a bunch of a quarterly credit, and a bunch of monthly credits. And then what if you also had the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card? So now you have another monthly credit. What if you had the Gold card? Now you have 2 other monthly credits. And then what if you had like a Business Gold card that had a recent change to it as well that also has its own 2 monthly credits? Now, you're not going to use all these credits all at once, but you can see how many statement credits you're starting to build up, and they're not all clear of just annual. There are some are monthly, some are semi-annual, some are quarterly, and it's really surprising to me that American Express expects you to pay literally hundreds of dollars of annual fees to manage this, and why that's okay. You know, I think that if you pay someone money, you should be able to have an easier time doing whatever you want to do. Now, of course, these cards have benefits. They have, perks and stuff, especially with the hotel credit cards, with the Aspire in particular. You do get that diamond status. You do get some more perks like, the statement credits we talked about and that sort of thing. But in my mind, I think that paying someone to make my life more complicated is not worth it. And for someone like myself who has a lot of these annual fee cards from American Express, the more credits that come onto my plate, the more complex my life is, and the more I dislike and have a really bad taste in my mouth from what American Express is doing. And then that's my own personal rant about that, because I just want to point that out to some of you, because some of you may feel the same way as me. I think that's why American Express is becoming more of a coupon book company and has that reputation. Is because we don't mind the benefits that Amex cards give us, because they're really great benefits, to be honest. But the kind of hoops we have to jump through is becoming more and more numerous, that I'm almost at the point where I'm ready to just give up on them, because I don't even want to spend money on their cards anymore, because now they're just forcing me to do so. And I don't like that, and maybe you don't like that, but maybe you also have Hilton card or a card that you like spend on in a way that they also want you to, and so that may not be a big deal to you. But for me, it's really more of a more of a distressing thing. So I also want to mention that it's objectively, for the cards, the Hilton Honors Aspire card and the Surpass card, it's objectively more value, because you do have statement credits. If you kind of do the math on it, you can come out ahead and net positive when you compare the statement credits to the annual fee. I think the question is, do you want to put in the work that's required to make sure you get value from that? And of course, there's ways to liquidate these annual fees liquidate these statement credits and get value from them from that perspective. But again, that's just that much more work for you to do and to figure out and to kind of keep track of as you move forward. And so for as someone for me who's not a Hilton loyalist, and I actually have a bunch of other cards that I use for what I typically spend money on, which is, if I was in hotels, I would use Marriott cards. I only use or think of using the Hilton cards as sign-up bonus cards and cards that earn points for Hilton for those aspirational stays. I don't really have any reason to keep them long-term. And of course, it probably is working in American Express's favor that, they're pushing people out like myself that don't really need the card but just want to use them for the value. But it still kind of is not my favorite, right? And so in my perspective, the annual fees have gone up. They're putting in these quarterly and semi-annual credits that are very annoying. I think that to trade in the annual credit for a semi-annual or quarterly credit, even if it's more value, it kind of sucks. It doesn't make me want the card as much anymore. And what I really don't like is when American Express forces you to spend on a card in a way that you don't want to. And this is very similar to my thoughts on rotating category cards as well. And so if you look at the rotating category cards with the 5% multiplier, it's only a certain category per quarter that gets that multiplier. And although it can be good, that card issuer is forcing you to spend money on the card in the way they want you to. And in the same way with these statement credits, American Express is forcing you to spend money on the card in the way they want you to. And I don't like that. I want to spend the money on the card the way I want to. And so this is not a direction that I'm really happy with, and that's why I think it's more of a negative change in my opinion. Now, that's just for me specifically, and I'm trying to give you that example so that you understand where I'm coming from, because there definitely is more to it than that, because if you spend a lot of money on Hilton cards and you stay at Hilton's twice a year and you fly at least 4 times a year, the Aspire card could be a great fit for you. But now that we know about why I think it's more of a negative change, I want to talk about the sign-up bonuses in more detail, because there's actually good sign-up bonus, a good sign-up bonus here, but there's also some that are not so good. So let's go into that right about now. Okay, so to really understand what the sign-up bonuses are and if they're good or not, let's kind of list them all out together so we can see them all next to each other. So first we have the Hilton Honors regular sign-up bonus, which is 100,000 Hilton Honors points after spending $2,000 in the first 6 months. We also have the Hilton Honors Surpass card, and that is a 170,000 Hilton Honors points bonus after spending $3,000 in the first 6 months. And then finally, we have the Hilton Honors Aspire card with their sign-up bonus of 180,000 points after spending $6,000 in purchases in the first 6 months as well. So they're all 6 month sign-up bonuses. And let's start first with the Hilton Honors regular card. And, you know, when I first saw this, I was considering this as well, just because it was a pretty good sign-up bonus. But then I looked back at some previous ones, and actually this one is really not that good. And the reason why I say that is because the standard bonus used to be 100,000 Hilton points for $1,000 in minimum spend. I don't remember if it's 3 months or 6 months, but regardless, you got to get that same amount of points, but for literally half the minimum spend requirement. And so this is really not a great sign-up bonus to get, and that's important because it does say limited time offer on the top. So you would think that it'd be like a, you know, an elevated bonus or a bonus that you should hurry up and get, but I definitely don't recommend getting this type of bonus. As a matter of fact, there used to be another bonus before, such as $130,000 for $2,000 in 3 months. And also earlier this year was a great bonus that showed 150,000 points total if you spent $1,000 in the first 3 months for 100,000 points, and then an additional 50,000 points after spending $5,000 in 6 months. Now, there's no guarantee that those sign-up bonuses will come back again, but I just want to point out that this sign-up bonus really isn't that great. Now, compare that to the Hilton Honors Surpass bonus. Now, this one I think is pretty good because you are getting a lot of points for the spend that you're required to do. As a matter of fact, if you look and do the numbers, you get 57 Hilton points for every dollar you spend with this particular sign-up bonus, which is much higher than the very similar 180,000 Hilton Honors points for $6,000, which is about 30 points per dollar spent when you look at how much money you're getting within that minimum spend requirement window. So if you're choosing between the Surpass card and the Aspire card for the sign-up bonus only, the Surpass card is a way better value than the Aspire card is going to be in terms of getting that immediate Hilton Honors points boost. But I do want to mention that the Aspire sign-up bonus is a little bit better when you compare it to itself from before. So you do get more points, so you get 30,000 points, but the minimum spend requirement is now higher at $6,000 to $4,000. Now, point for point, the new sub actually isn't as valuable because you're getting only 30 points per dollar spent on the new sub versus the previous sub, which you're getting 37.5 points for a dollar. So you're actually getting more from the last one. But from a number standpoint, the amount of Hilton Honors points you're getting, you are getting more points for this new Aspire card and this Aspire card sub. And so from the elevated sign-up bonus standpoint, if you're purely picking a card of what to get next, I would definitely choose the Surpass sign-up bonus over all of them. But in the same vein of sign-up bonuses, I do want to talk about the sequence moving forward of how you want to apply for Hilton Honors credit cards, because that's important if we look at the broader context of how American Express has been structuring their welcome offers. And on that topic, I think we're all pretty now numb to the changes that American Express has done to their welcome offers and the offer terms. As I'm sure you're all aware, they changed the Platinum Card welcome offer terms to make all that into one product. The no annual fee American Express cards like the Cash Magnet, the Blue Cash Every Day, as well as the Blue Cash Preferred. They have new rules for the Gold Card. You have to get the Platinum Card second after the Gold Card. And then don't forget the Delta Cards, where you have to really go in ascending order in order to get all of the different subs. So one change that I've seen missing, and I'm sure you all have noticed too, from the welcome offer language on the Hilton Honors, the Surpass card, and the Aspire card, are the fact that there's no tiered system like we have seen on, for example, the Delta cards, where each product you can get in any individual order you want. You can get the Aspire first and then get the Hilton Honors second, or the Surpass first and the Honors second. That is okay now, but I want to just caution all of you, and this is also in my mind as well, that this may change at any time. Just like we saw from today with the Hilton Honors changes, there was no warning. Just like we saw from the Platinum card, there was no warning. Or any of the other welcome offer terms and conditions, there was no warning. So this can happen at any time. So based on the fact that this has happened in the past, I think it's very safe to say that this change is coming, and I would bet that it would be coming in the future. You just don't know when, whether it be now, 3 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. That's going to be very important to keep an eye on. And so with that in mind, we want to structure the way we apply for these cards with that in mind. And so the only exceptions I would make is if you were really going to take advantage of the Hilton Honors Diamond status and you really wanted that Aspire card first, or you really wanted that free night award every year for whatever reason, I think that's something that you'd also want to look at and just make that decision for yourself. But one of the things I want to talk about is giving you a story about why this is important. So when you look at the Hilton cards and in that lens, I think it's important to apply an ascending order. Hilton Honors, then Surpass, and then the Aspire card third. And last year, if you followed my channel, you saw that I applied for the Delta Reserve 747 card. And that was a great card because it was limited edition. It was made out of 747 metal. It looked really, really cool. And so I'm really happy I got that card. And for me, I have no loyalty to Delta whatsoever. I don't ever fly on their airlines. I never have any intention of flying on their airlines. So I just got the card literally to get the card, the physical card itself. I had no idea they were going to change the language so that now I can no longer, or I guess I may not, receive the sub on the blue, gold, or platinum Delta cards. Now, is that like a big deal to me? No, not really. I don't think I would do it over again. I still really like my Delta 747 card, which has now since been canceled, but I have it. It's a physical, thing that I can keep as a collector's item, and I don't regret that decision at all. But it does suck that I can't get the welcome offers on the platinum, gold, or the blue cards because of this new language that I never foresaw. And so I think that's something to keep in mind, because when you look at these new card changes, they could do the same thing and pull the same thing for the Hilton Honors cards next year, and you just don't know. So just keep that in mind. If you want to maximize the value of Hilton points, which I think are far more usable and far more valuable than Delta points ever could be, I would tread carefully and try to figure out a way for yourself to get the Hilton Honors regular card first, again, when there's a good sign-up bonus. Because as we just discussed in the previous section, they're not very good right now, the Hilton Honors sign-up bonus, that is. So if you're like me, I don't have a single Hilton card, and I have never had Hilton cards before, I would proceed in a way that is Hilton Honors first, then Surpass second, and Aspire third. And I'm waiting for that moment when the Hilton Honors sub is going to be high. I have no desire to rush this. I think you want to be mindful of the Amex once-in-a-lifetime rule, where you get one sign-up bonus per card per lifetime. That's always going to be the case. But because I use Marriott properties typically, I don't need to rush into the Hilton ecosystem if I don't need to. I'm going to wait for the next sign-up bonus that I think is competitive and valuable and as high as it could possibly get before I even start the ladder. And the ladder will always be there, especially if you go from ascending order from no annual fee card all the way up to the Aspire. And because I have the Platinum card at the gold level, I think I'm okay with that as well. So I have no issues with that. So if you have had no previous Hilton cards or you're thinking of starting the ladder, definitely start with a Hilton Honors card first. But I know a lot of you out there also have the Hilton Honors Aspire because, frankly, it's like a terrific card, at least before. So I think that was really good to have. But now that you have this card and you know that American Express has been putting this language into effect where they're looking at, if you look at all the different changes they made, it's all been ascending order. It's all been get the no annual fee first, then get the next tier, then the next tier. And like I said before, this may happen to Hilton cards too. So if you have the Aspire card and that card only, I would prioritize getting the next card in the system next. And that next card is going to be the Surpass card. And so if you have an Aspire card, I actually would apply for the Surpass card if it meets your budget for the $3,000 in 6 months, which I think you could probably do. That's like $500 per month. And that's a pretty solid Surpass bonus. And I would get that now before they hot swap in another welcome offer change, and so you are locked out of it. That's kind of how I would play it if I was a person with an Aspire card and I needed to get another card. I wanted another Hilton card, didn't know where to go. I would get the Surpass card next. That's kind of what I would personally recommend. But that's kind of what I wanted to say about the sequence of how to apply. Of course, you want to get all three sign-up bonuses as fast as you can, but you want to be mindful of the fact that you want to make sure you can not spend more than you need to, and you want to make sure that you get all the sign-up bonuses you possibly can before they lock you out of that system based on the welcome offer language. So those are my thoughts on the new and updated Hilton Honors credit cards and what's the best strategy moving forward based on what American Express has been doing recently with their welcome offer changes. Again, we all expected this change to happen with the Hilton Honors Aspire card and also the Surpass card, but mostly the Aspire card. That card was such a great travel credit card prior to today. It was actually ridiculous, and a lot of us were thinking about, well, this card is basically going to change real soon because there's so much value with that card. I do have to admit that based on your travel patterns, based on the way that you stay at Hilton properties and fly, this card can still be a great value because when you look at the credits, you still get net positive value even with that $550 annual fee. But if you're someone like myself who doesn't really stay at Hilton's that much and really wants to get these cards for the sign-up bonus and the points, it's something that really saddens me because I really wanted the Aspire card to be a keeper card in my setup. And based on all these credits, these quarterly credits and these semi-annual credits, this may just become a one-and-done card for me. I definitely want to get it in the future at some point, basically after I get the Hilton Honors regular and the Surpass card. But because of the fact it's now one of those coupon book type of cards, I do have to strongly reconsider the fact that I may just get this card for 1 year and then cancel it after that. Again, thank you so much for reaching the end of this video. I really appreciate you sticking around. And if you want to see my commentary on the Platinum card changes and what that really means as well, check out this video next.